Hey everybody, this is Matt with TechnoX Royalty Free Music, and I am here in the project file that I used to compose the track that I released yesterday. It's called Reaching the Boiling Point. And the reason why I'm back in this project file is I want to show you guys something that I learned over the course of this last year. A lot of the comments that I've gotten in regards to my rock music is that people have felt that my bass guitar basically has lacked the bass frequencies that people usually associate it with. Even though, even as far back as 20 or 10 years ago, the bass guitar wasn't really that bassy. It was basically the lower notes that you can kind of add a little bit more of a presence there with the guitars. It'll back the guitars up, or with funk, it'll be its own instrument that just basically sounds lower than the guitars. But in recent years, that's actually changed, where a lot of people, when they hear the guitar, will associate it with that really deep, low bass that you hear in the subwoofers. It's just basically the low frequencies that are below everything else, and it's so low that it doesn't even like interfere with the bass drum. I've been trying to basically kind of mimic that, and just recently I've found exactly how I can do that. And I'm not going to profess that this is going to be the only way to do it, or even the way that the professionals do it, but this is how I do it nowadays. And so we're going to start with basically showing you my bass guitar patch. Okay, so spoiler alert, I actually use a fake guitar now. Prior to this, I was actually using a real guitar, but here it is right here. I would find that this patch actually sounds a lot better than playing a real guitar. Plus, I had to leave it behind in the East Coast when I moved over to the Washington State. But in any case, I feel like this bass guitar actually sounds really well. And in terms of like actual equipment, it sounds a lot better because I was using my bass guitar prior to like some really old outdated equipment. And then even through the Line 6 Pod HD 500, it wasn't really sounding all that great anyways. So you can see that it's a really nice meaty bass sound that is associated with a lot of heavy metal tracks. It's got the high end that you can actually detect the presence of the bass. And so using this patch, I've basically constructed this bass line to basically be the underpinnings of the track. Okay, all right. And I admit by itself it sounds really mechanical, but within the entire mix, it sounds phenomenal. But not as phenomenal as you could actually make it. And so the trick that I have basically learned is to back it up. And it's a trick that you actually utilize heavily in electronic dance music, where you have your bass patches layered, where there's one instrument that has the higher registers, and then you have the one instrument that basically handles the frequencies below everything else. And that's what we call the sub bass. And so that's basically what I'm doing here. If we go into this patch right here, we have a patch of Native Instruments Massive, and it's a fairly simple patch right here. All we have is two oscillators activated, both at high amp. We've got both of them linked to a sine square wave oscillator, and then the wavetable position is set all the way to the left to indicate sine waves. And then one of the oscillators, oscillator 2 right here, is set 12 steps below the first one, which is a full octave. And so that gives a very, very bassy feel that has more than one frequency that you can basically give the mix. So let me go here and solo this out, and you can hear it. Okay, and you can hear that even though there's a little bit of a flicker there, it basically has those low registers that we were talking about. And so we go back in and reactivate our bass guitar. And there you go. You have a much fuller bass. And to be honest, this is a great way to boost the bass, in my opinion. There are other ways that you can boost the bass, the lower registers off of your bass guitar. You can go into your EQ settings and add in, or basically use your EQ settings to bring out the bass. The only problem with that is sometimes you may run into some harmonic frequencies that muddy up the mix. And with this sub bass synthesizer following along with your bass guitar, essentially what you're doing is you're adding only two fundamental frequencies to the mix, as opposed to bringing out the lower frequencies of the bass guitar itself, where the bass guitar and a lot of like actual instruments have a lot of complex frequencies that come out in addition to the fundamental frequency that you're playing. So with this, all you're really adding here is basically the sine wave fundamental frequencies, and it produces a clear undertone that basically props up the bass and makes everything great. So I hope you guys enjoyed that little tutorial. I'm not sure if it's a tutorial or not, but let me know if you guys like this, and I'll see you guys next time.